we've just seen an error apiece here at Odsall Stadium.
Can you shut this off? Air conditioning unit off. It's making a fucking racket.
Can you get out of it, please? I don't have to get
No! You turn it off.
Bradford are going to be awarded the scrum. There's something kicking off here. Not sure what's going on. Do apologise. Do apologise for this interruption. It's live radio.
Stop pointing your finger at me or you'll be out of
I do apologise for this.
I don't work for them. I work for me. Off you go.
No, you get it sorted.
Get out.
You touch me.
I'm not going to tilt you. I'm going to have security take you out.
You touch me. You've assaulted me.
Oh, get out of here.
Bradford in possession. 10 shy of the halfway line.
No, you get that noise.
There's an intruder in the commentary box. There's an intruder in the commentary box.
We've got 10 seconds remaining. Looks like it's going to be a draw. Looks like it's heading for a draw. Maguire down the line. No! Oh! Ryan Hall! Ryan Hall! Ryan Hall scores for Leeds and wins the league-leading game.
Hi, folks, and welcome to the Lock Pod. Strap yourselves in. It's now time for another match review panel.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Lock Pod, the Leeds Rhinos Lot 17A podcast. Proudly sponsored by ACDMB, who are a branding and creative design agency based in Farsley, Leeds. They create standout brands, so if any companies out there need a new brand or a brand refresh, just get in touch with ACDMB, and we kindly, as always, thank them for sponsoring us. I have been relegated, if anyone watching this who's watched previously, I've been relegated to the garage. So first of all, I'm going to say to my co-host, Statman Reese, can you hear me loud and clear?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly fine.
Excellent. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm great, thank you. Really, really good.
Before we introduce our guests, I'm just thinking ahead ever so slightly on regarding the Rhinos. On like we've obviously me and you have planned our trip to Old Trafford.
Yeah, we haven't got the World Club Challenge in the diary yet, have we? In terms of
the Penrith game. So we are on the same page regarding the Penrith game.
Yeah,
I'm going to assume it's going to be played at Ellen Road. So what shall I pick you up for that, or just meet you there?
I can just meet you in Leeds. We'll meet in town.
Yeah,
it's fine.
We'll meet in town and we'll take it from there. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah. Reece, what's coming up on today's podcast?
So we've got another win to review, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to go.
We're getting good at this.
It's actually quite fun, isn't it, when we win? So we're going to do that. We've got the Super League roundup, and then we've got the mailbag as well. So the usual format today, and we've got two guests with us today as well.
Excellent.
Shall I bring them in?
Yeah, bring them in. Go for it. One of them is a returning guest, making his second appearance. Phil, is that right?
That's right, mate. Yeah. Evening all. Thanks for
welcome
having me back on. Always good to come and join you.
It's been a while. We've been trying to get you on for a while, but thankfully we got there in the end. And we also have another newbie in Hinchy. How are you, mate?
Not bad, mate. How are you all?
Yeah, good. Thanks for coming on. So we like our newbies on here. So welcome along, everybody. This is the match review panel for
our third guest
versus Leeds. And that's... Is he?
Yeah,
is he
he's
here?
Just joined now. Yeah, he's just joined now.
Oh, yes, we do.
Hello.
We have a third guest as well. Welcome along. Returning guest, sorry. He's been on before. It is Tucker. How are you, mate?
Not too bad. I had a bit of an issue getting on, but here at last. I haven't used my phone so I might drop it at some point.
Right, all right.
You're
Tucker
wearing a marvellous
also...
shirt, by the way. Just because I know people aren't. Well, it's Spotify. That is a marvellous shirt that you're wearing.
Why, thank you.
What
I love me a white. You what, sorry?
It's a beautiful Hawaiian shirt. You are also. Do you want to tell us what's wrong with you at the moment? You're not feeling very well.
No.
You don't want to tell us.
Well, I'm brewing my own kidney pearls, so it's not ideal.
If we hear you scream or run off and scream, we know that you're passing that kidney stone. But feel for you. Just swallow loads of painkillers, you'll be fine.
It's something I'm looking forward to, and equally not looking forward to whatsoever. Because I've done some Googling. Yeah, well, because I want to get rid of it, because I'm in absolute agony. So the sooner it's gone, the better. But I really don't want to go through that experience of passing it. It is not going to be pleasant.
Yeah, and it's not going to be pleasant for the viewers either if you do that on stream.
So
if you do,
you need to.
So if it does happen,
it'll get loads. It'll go viral.
Yeah, I don't want to go viral for that reason.
So this is the match review point for. Oh, keep losing him. KR versus Leeds Rhinos. In terms of positives, Phil, start with Phil. Lots of positives for this one. Another win on the bounce. What positive did you take from this one?
I think you've touched it. Just another win on the road as well. Backing up after other week against Salford and Wigan. I think it was just important to try and win at all costs. It's got to that stage at season now where, putting performance after performance together. I think it's just a matter of scrapping them out and winning. I think that's what we did really, because from last week against Salford, it was, even though we won, it was a complete different style of performance, wasn't it? You know what I mean? We didn't seem to follow on from what we did against Salford. But the positive for me was another win. Another win on the road, but more importantly, just keeping in that winning spirit amongst the squad and the boys, really.
Yeah. Hinchy, how did you see it?
It's just nice to know that no phases them no more. Do you know, like when Agar were in charge, one thing goes wrong, we'd lost.
Yeah. We
lost Bentley, Martin, and 10 others. 3 people go off injured, 2 in hospital, and still win. It's miles different from start season when it was just a joke, wasn't it?
Lottie, have you got a delay?
Tucker, how did you see this one?
I've not quite seen a Rhinos match in a while, sadly, and it was quite nice to actually watch one, and we've won for a change. Because the last few that I've seen, we didn't win. But it seemed more of a battle than a match. But it was actually a pleasant match to watch, to be honest. I really enjoyed it. I was nervous quite early on, but it seemed to develop a bit more. And I really enjoyed that.
It was good because it did also feel like it was just going back and forth all the time, wasn't
Statman Reese.
You've got a massive delay, Lottie.
I have Anna.
Right, I'll go through the stats then.
Carry on, sorry.
I'll go through the stats whilst to do this then. So that is, you're right, that's picking up another win. So that's our 6th win in 7. Team-wise, that was the most tackles we've made in a game during the Rowan Smith era. It was the 3rd highest tackle plus we've had this season and 3rd highest average game we've had in one game this season. It was also the most runs we'd had from dummy half in one game this season. So that was 24. 15 of those came from Brad Dwyer. Kit stat, that was the first ever win in the grey kit. And I hate that kit. I really do not like that kit. Do you like it?
I love it. I've just ordered it.
Have you? I just don't like it. Well, one, probably because I haven't seen us winning it. But I just, compared to the pink and naturally, no, I don't like the pink kit either. The Borough kit is my favourite kit. But that was our first win in the grey kit. We had 6 players over 100 metres. Hanley got 160. Mustafa got 152. Dwyer 143. Tetivano 138. Gannon 111. Aledzki 105. You mentioned earlier we didn't have Bentley or Smith. They normally lead up the tackle charts, but we had O'Connor leading the way with 57. Aletsky contributed with 50, Dwyer 41, Tetivano and Gannon 37. So some good figures there. Muzz's stats were brilliant. 152 meters, 18 carries, 8.4 average gain, 20 tackles, and he only was on the pitch for 43 minutes. And that's the most meters that a forward's made this year so far. But out of anyone, except one game where Martin was playing centre. So that was really, really good. Other person I wanted to highlight was Dwyer. I thought he had a great game. I found his try quite funny because he didn't actually step anyone, did he? He just went the long way around running someone, didn't he? He just did a really long S, didn't he? Effectively. But yeah, that's the most meters he's made in one game this season. And then Tetivano was the other person that I highlighted because that's the most meters he's ever made in the game for Leeds. It was also his highest average carry as well. He played 80 minutes as well. So I know we've probably said some harsh things about Tetivano and sometimes quite rightly. But I'm all for growing praise when people do well. So what were your thoughts on those guys, those players in particular, or anyone else stand out?
For me, I thought Mustafa did a really good job as well because he took over Bodine quite early on. And I thought Mustafa had a good game.
Yeah, well, I think he had to come on, didn't he? And then with the changes that we had to make, so Bodie went off in 19 minutes, didn't he? We also lost, obviously we lost Cam as well. But I'm pretty sure Zane was playing right edge at one point, wasn't he? So Muzz was coming on, just doing all that rotation bit, really, wasn't he? But Muzz was great. Hinchy, anyone that stood out for you?
It was a bit different for me. I was in their end.
Oh, were you? Were you there?
Yeah, I was in their stand with my mate, and they've got like these big red bollards all the way down their stand. So, and plus I had them in the mirror all day. I just couldn't concentrate that much. But Zane decided just to do the simple stuff. And then he played 80 minutes or whatever he played. So I think he needs to realise you don't have to do it special. He can just set ball in. What Tyndall did all right to say that he never ran forward.
Yeah, Tyndall, I think he made 98 metres forward, but he made about 170 going sideways.
He just
crabbing.
Yeah. Are you back?
I thought they all played well to say that. This 14 crap. After that, solid.
Phil, anyone stand out for you?
I like Morgan Gannon. I thought he had a good game. I mean, he got over the try line, didn't he? But I mean, he just seems to go about his business so well. Just, whatever he asks of him, he just seems to crack on and do. But, I agree with everything what you said there with all the players as well. But yeah, I thought Morgan Gannon got stuck in as well.
He hasn't seemed to have got a lot of game time recently, has he? So when he's been on the bench, he hasn't really come on for long stints. So he had to step up and he was brilliant. For that first try, that pass from Aletsky, I don't know many props that can do a pass like that.
That would have Danny Maguire pass.
Oh, hang on.
Here we go.
Got a bell.
I think I'm back. Sorry, I've just as I said earlier, I was set up in the garage, but it's just it's fallen through. So I'm now in the playroom, which is nice. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you. There's no delay either.
Right, brilliant.
Right. Delay.
Excellent. Like one of those reporters, when they're in the field and on the news, and they say, "Right, we're going to cut to Jim, who's at the scene." Jim? Yes, I'm here now. There were 7 dead in this house. Brilliant. That was brilliant, that Reese. You deserve the host wage this week.
Yeah.
You'll get the £2.50 and I'll get the £1.80. That's the deal worth having. In terms of the game for me, someone spoke about Morgan Gannon, obviously, because he was just incredible. I mean, and I feel like there's been like a period on this podcast, Reese, where we haven't spoken about him much.
Well, he's not played, has he? Because we've had obviously Bentley not getting banned, so he's played 7 games in a row. Martin's moved back from centre to second row, and so he's not really had. He hasn't. Our 2 best back rowers have been available and playing, so he hasn't had the opportunity to play.
I missed Gannon stats? Sorry, my mad.
So
have you got the stats?
I haven't given them out yet, but I can tell you. So Gannon, 37 tackles on the day, 2 tries, 111 meters for 9 carries, which average carry of 12.3. I think that was probably quite heavily inflated from his interception or his pickup of the drop ball. And he also had a clean break as well, which was probably that as well. So it was a good game all round for him. That was the 3rd highest tackles, and he's in the top over 100 meters.
Awesome.
But the most important bit was the 2 tries, and he was really intelligent for that pickup as well, because it looked like everyone else was switched off, and he was straight on it and picked that ball up and showed quite. I don't think I've seen that pace from Gannon before. I was quite shocked.
Yeah, he was rapid, wasn't
he?
Yeah, he was, Phil. You're right. Have we spoken to Hinchy? Because you might have already said this, but he was in the home end. Do we know
this?
Yeah,
he's told us about this. Yeah. Were you wearing a shirt, Hinchy?
No, but it's hard not to celebrate. Which Fire scored that first try. I managed to keep it a bit composed because we're still losing. But then when Mike wanted to put us ahead, the finger came out over my lip, and I was just going, shh. Everyone, is he a fucking Leeds fan? And I was like, hey.
How did that come about that you ended up in there?
My good mate was in the RDF. It's from East Hull. He's an OKR fan. So every year, but last year I took him in South Stand and I regretted it because he dropped his trousers, showed his OKR oddballs boxer shorts.
I was going to say something else then.
I went, hey, and I'm going in your end, and I'm going to be all the backside this time. But they got a bit wound up when we started winning a bit comfortably. It all went a bit sour.
Yeah, I've written my notes. I think it got to the 51st minute, and I eventually lost it. And I just wrote in my notes, in full capitals, will you just stop appealing? Because there was a point in the early second half where the fans were just appealing for absolutely everything. Forward passes, high tackles, and everyone was like, just shut up. Literally. And then the players started getting involved as well. And so it must have been even more annoying for you, Hinchy, being in that way and listening to all that, them moaning about it when there wasn't really much to moan about, to be honest.
Whatever happened smack on half time? Do you know what?
Oh, yeah. Austin, he literally just caught him on the shoulder. It wasn't high. And then Austin went back in, didn't he?
Took half time. That wasn't what they saw. They saw get their heads. Needed some severe words about. Anyway, the place to go. I do recommend it because they had an odd bunch.
Tucker, what did you think of Richie Myler? Because I think that's the other person that we've not talked about. He had a great game.
I'm quite fond of Myler, actually. He's one of my favourite players for the team. I've had a really good game, and when he suffered a bit of a bad tackle, didn't he? Which seems quite accidental, to be fair.
I don't like that. I remember Barry in the commentary was there going, he's just trying to get low enough to stop. It's like he was scoring, and his knees slid right into his ribs. It's a cheap shot, but he's protected a player. If he'd got that wrong and he hit the head, it's something different. It's just a grubby thing to do, in my opinion, because
it was very Wiggany.
Yeah, the try was a
very Wigan, very Wiggany from Ethan Ryan.
Ethan Ryan, yeah.
Very, very Wiggany. I didn't like that, me. I think it was Barry. I think you're right. That said it in commentary. And just sometimes I think the commentary, I don't know why they do this, but they kind of play things down when everybody that kind of knows the game, or even maybe they don't know, you kind of know that is a dirty challenge. And I don't know why they play certain things down. I'm like, no, that would a dirty challenge. That, and I was actually amazed that Myler got up and continued playing. Because I thought he must have cracked a rib or something there.
Mm.
It looked really aggressive.
It did. Yeah, it looked aggressive. There, yeah, that is a classic. Yeah, you're absolutely right. That is a classic. Richie Myler try that. He must have scored not hundreds, but plenty of them in his career. The grey kit, we actually won in it for once, which I don't think they would have let us play in the pink one. I don't think we'd have got away with that. So perhaps there's something in the grey kit now.
I told Tucker I didn't like it because he's bought it, but
he's just bought it.
I don't like it at all. But anyway, we won because as Rob Oates said on Thursday, doesn't matter what we're at now. We're winning in everything.
Yeah, we're winning it all. Let's wear mankinis next week. See if we can win in them. We'll be harder to tackle.
Mankinis and Vaseline.
Vaseline. One player that I thought performed really well, and I'm sure Reece had said the stats out, and I think he did 80 minutes, were Jared O'Connor. What did you make of his performance, Hinchy?
Well, 80 minutes, didn't stop. He doesn't seem, for his size, I know he's not small, but doesn't get pushed back. There's always one thing we did on Friday, which we don't see that often. Everybody made the line. Everyone went straight through a gap. Not just standing still and trying to fend off and then taking a tackle. They all ran with a bit of purpose, which they're crap. I'm not. They are a bad side. And the moment about benches or whatever, but they're a bad side, and I think we knew that, and we just thought, I'm just going to smash them up for a bit, because we just hit him every time.
Yeah, worked well. Worked really well. What did you make of him, Reece? Jared O'Connor? I know we waxed lyrical about him on this, but I thought he was really good.
I think that was it showed one of the reasons why we're keeping him and we've given him that contract, because one, he's learning the hooker position and he's doing, he has been doing while he got 2 assists in the Salford game. Yeah. But he showed his versatility at playing loose. That's kind of another reason why I think they're giving the extension, because he can fill in it loose. He led, he had the most tackles on the day. He had 57, and still, carried the ball 12 times for 89 meters. So, he still had he did put in a fair shift himself. But that's why they got the contract extension, because he can develop as a hooker, but he can be a solid starter at loose. And then one player for the opposition that I feel we have to talk about is Matt Parcell. I thought he was playing a bit like a little tart, to be honest. There were a period in that game where he was just getting a bit gobby. I think he grabbed Myler. And then obviously there's a lot on the game, and that don't bother me. He can play like that all he wants. It doesn't bother me at all. But one thing that did bother me about Matt Parcell, I don't know if anyone else noticed it, there was a challenge. I can't remember who it was, but he did the old imaginary card to the ref. Did anyone else see that? Yeah, Minchella did the same as well at one point.
I'm not
with Austin saying, "What about the high tackle? He's not going for 10." I'm like, just shut up.
Just shut your mouth. Yeah, and when Parcell's doing that, I mean, did obviously Hinchy, you were there. Were the whole KR crowd getting a bit venomous? Were they getting a bit fed up with referee?
Not for first 20 minutes, but every single try we had. So Dwyer ran too fast for us first. I'm not happy with that. And then I think he's not allowed to run that fast. And then I think the second one was an obstruction. I think they kind of thought someone was Gannon.
No, Parcell ran into our player. Is exactly what happened there. There was nothing wrong with that.
The full-on obstruction, and then something happened to Myler with third one. It was just anything and everything were wrong.
So what you're telling us, Hinch, is that when they were winning, they weren't blaming the referee for the first 20 minutes. And then after that, when they were losing, they were blaming the referee. It's funny how it works, isn't it?
Sounds like a typical Hull trip, that, doesn't it? Anyway.
Yeah. The black and whites are the same.
Exactly.
So we're singing about
I know. I think we've spoken about Moise kind of in my limbo period there. And I know Rowan Smith doesn't seem the type of person that would, I don't know, it strikes me as someone that wouldn't go back on his word, but his celebration from a week for Muzzy when he scored against Wigan, and the fact that people are saying that, he's such a key member around the squad. And I know we've said to him, he has to look for a deal elsewhere, but his performance on Friday, you kind of look at that and think, why are we letting this guy go? I'm guessing I'm not by me saying that thinking. Does everyone else think perhaps there's a chance here that this guy could get another deal here?
I don't know.
Who wants to go first?
I don't know where we're going to get someone like him who's cheap.
Yeah,
that's what I don't get. I don't know, to get someone a job, they're going to want more money. I don't know why we'd get rid of it. And I'm not saying he deserves to be on a cheap option, but he is at the minute. So I don't know why we should keep him.
Yeah, I agree. I just think that, I don't know, kind of, if that was a new player, for instance, we'd be like, oh, that's great. When we seem to have him there to do the job I think he deserves more. Well, he'll probably get more minutes this year, even though I think Holroyd's back for the next game and prior. But I just think he's there. I think he's played a couple of games this year and he's really not stood out, but he's done his. I thought I'm doing a disservice there. I thought he did stand out on Friday. Was he the top meter maker, Reese?
No, our Ash was.
Ashley. Yeah. So it
was the most meters made by a forward this year.
By a forward. That's right. Have we spoke about he who shall not be named yet?
I've touched on it.
I think he played second row most of the game.
He played on that right edge.
Yeah.
And he's not doing anything special, but he's just doing the job and he's doing it well at the moment, which is better than we've seen before. I don't know what you thought, Phil, on that.
Yeah, again against Salford last week, he just did his work, didn't he? He did what you'd expect him to do. No stupid, no really amazing to say that he's probably on, one of the largest salaries with overseas quota and salary cap. But yeah, I think I don't know what Rowan Smith done to him, but he's like just calmed his discipline and his aggression down a little bit. He just seems to go about his business and his work silently now, really.
He still hit hard though. He was still putting tackles in, and he was still, making some big shots.
You won't want to dig off him, would you?
No. I think it's the
mustache. He'll give me one if he sees me.
It could be the mustache that's doing it, and I've got a sneaky suspicion there's a mullet in there somewhere. There's a mullet in that player. I can feel it, and if he has a mullet, then it might change everything. It's okay.
With a mullet becomes special powers.
Yeah,
and it looks like he's got a tash. Sorry, Reece, go on.
Yeah, go Tucker. What did you think of Zane?
I don't know, to be honest. Which one's it? Because I'm not too familiar with it.
Ivano.
Is he the Australian-looking porn star guy?
Yeah, that's him. You know him well.
Right. Do you know what? I thought it was all right. I thought it was a bit all over. It was. I don't think he was one of the weakest players in this match for Rhinos, to be honest. But I felt like he could have played a bit better. I felt like there was some parts of the game where he tried to put a lot more effort into some places because I feel like he knew he was letting it down a little bit in some ways. But that's my opinion.
I love the fact that you didn't even know who he was.
I don't know him on first name basis. If you said to Ivana, oh yeah, that guy, yeah, Zane, not a clue.
I love that. Who? Who is he? I don't like he just forgot on him. I thought I don't know if Rowan played him on the edge because he's trying to get something out of him, and he's kind of thinking, well, maybe I can get something out of him there. I don't know, but he definitely played on the edge. It looked like as well to me. It looked like Austin went at left centre and Sutcliffe were more central.
Yeah, so when Newman went off, I think Austin went to centre at that point because he started taking carries, didn't he, in the last 10 minutes, like Newman would do, and stuff. So yeah, I've seen someone on Facebook say we should start him at centre next week, and I'm going, no. But yeah, so no, I don't. I think Zane had to play out there because we had to, because we didn't have. We
had nothing else
happening. I would have thought Sam Walters would have played that on the edge rather than Zane through the middle because Walters was seemed to be playing in the middle. But and he made that break as well, which was a good break, which is probably where most of his meters came from. But I think we were all over the place with injuries. So and we've heard that Cam had a hand injury which required suturing, whatever that bloody means.
It's just stitches, mate. It's just stitches.
Ah, right, okay. But he's not suffered a fracture, which is good.
Why didn't they just say stitches?
Confusing.
There's a difference between the threads. It's sort of like in one little bit or whatever, rather than just individual things.
You know a lot.
Phil knows this stuff.
Sit to the nurse.
We know that Thompson obviously got a rib injury, and he's discharged with no further complications. And then Newman,
I wish they'd have said that. Sorry, Reece. I wish they'd have said, because I wish they'd have told us on Sky that Thompson had a rib injury, because they said a chest injury. And I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, what's a chest injury? If they just said it's his rib, I'd have been like, right, I know it's an awful injury, but at least it's not. When they said chest, my mind was racing, thinking, "What the fuck's a chest injury?"
And then obviously Newman, we're waiting to find out. Although he did put a post up on Instagram at some point today, which is actually quickly taken down as well. I've noticed. But the more important thing about it, on any of this injury update, was that the Cam Smith Appreciation Society was officially acknowledged by Leeds Rhinos.
Yeah.
Representing.
Yeah, represented.
Good work.
Absolutely. Me and Lottie were like children. We both of us went to our partners, went, look at this, look. Like, obviously, they had no idea, didn't really care. But like, absolutely gobsmacked at that.
It was amazing. I mean, to say that, because other than Rob Oates, Ash Hanley, they both asked for some badges. There was nothing official from the club about recognising it, and it wasn't even an inkling at all from the club. So them just bought out the blue, and people texting me and sending me and retweeting. I just thought, I thought it was a nice touch, and I think the fact that we had Rob Oates on, as obviously, that connection between us as fans and the club who utilise this platform and Twitter and what, it's obviously growing. It's nice to see we're getting some kind of, relationship with the club, because we have been trying hard. Reece has been trying really hard to get a women's player on the team. I've been trying to get a current men's player on the team, and the only Leeds current player we've had is Ewan when he came on. We've had a couple of ex-players who we're still working on, but it'd be great to get like a couple of current players on. But yeah, I think the fact that we've got something building with the club might make things slightly easier for us, let's say. Just to kind of wrap up the match review panel, is there anything else? Have you got anything else to add, Reece?
No, not for me. Just need to choose a player of the match between us all.
Sorry, this has been a bit of a up and down pod. What happened again? Man of the match, Hinchy.
Bit easier the game. I don't know. I was going for Gannon.
Gannon, yeah. Tucker, yeah, man of the match.
I'd probably go with Gannon. I mean, didn't he actually got the player of the match as well, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
Yeah. It's a toss-up for me between Gannon and Myler, to be honest.
It is for me too. Phil?
Full house, mate. Gannon for me.
Gannon, yeah. I agree with Tucker. Thought Myler had another good game. I think he's absolutely banging form, but I think
Myler was going to be mine, to be fair. I think I was going to say Myler because he took his 2 tries as well.
Yeah, he did.
So, yeah, I was going to go for Myler.
He's banging form as well.
The other bit I wanted to highlight, actually, that I didn't talk about was when we went a man down, when Ledsky got sin-binned, I thought we were so composed during that 10 minutes. Really clever. We took the carries and then we just kept kicking to the corners of the pitch and going out. And I just felt we actually won that sin bin 6-0 because that's when Gannon got his try. Yeah. And we're talking earlier. Someone mentioned, this would have happened under Agar. That composure and leadership, what was shown then, was brilliant to win that sin bin period and so how we performed. That won the game effectively for us.
There's no way that would have happened.
Why I wanted to give it to Myler as well because he was part of that. Just making sure that happened.
Yeah, he controlled it and then he just kind of. I don't know. It's almost as if we're asking him to play in a way that he doesn't usually play. But I thought he controlled it. I think he's controlled us really well for a few games now. It's like he's maturing with age and learning a different way to play, but while still flashing up all that support play that he is famous for. So we did win the game. People often say to me, "You never say the score." It's like, who cares? We won. It's all that matters. Whether it's 1 point or 50 points, we won, and that's all that matters. Moving on to some club news. Do we have some club news, Reece?
Yes, we do. So the under-18s were meant to play today, but that got called off.
The Heat.
For some, yeah. Oh, is that why it's been called off?
I think so.
But the under-19s women's team did play on Wednesday, but they lost to Wigan 34-10. And there's no real other club news, really, to be honest. Obviously, the big news that's come through in the last week in terms of the league was the Challenge Cup is back at Wembley. and it's the men's and women's on the same day, I think.
That's a good idea. It's a good idea that it is a double header. But the fact that they've moved it back to August, I think, and back to Wembley, I don't know. I think they've missed a trick because, as we said on this podcast at the time, everybody that went to the Spurs stadium said it were awesome. Stadium's awesome. Everywhere you sit is awesome. It seems like every time rugby league, get given something on a plate, something that's good, they kind of say, no, thank you. I'm like, you would have got more neutrals back to Spurs on the back of this year's Challenge Cup final, if that makes sense. People would have been like, oh, I didn't go, but I'll go this year. Whereas because it's going back to Wembley, people have been to Wembley loads, absolutely loads. I just think somewhere new, especially with Spurs, that's like one of the best stadiums, probably the best stadium in Europe. How good it is. How do you feel about it, Phil?
Foot in both camps, really. I'm a bit traditionalist with that. Do you know what I mean? From growing up as a kid, wanting to get to Wembley and watching Challenge Cup final. But I'm fortunate with my job down in London that I do get to go to Spurs Stadium quite often. So as part of my job, I do like a liaison role there because I'm down in London Fire Brigade. So when match days are on, I get a chance to go into the stadium as well. And I agree with you. No, I agree with you. It's a great place, and I think it's just that kickstart. Like you said, it'll give rugby league that push. So even though I do like the thought of the Challenge Cup and all the traditional stuff what comes with it, I'm not against obviously developing and moving the game forward really. And I think with that move to Tottenham Hotspur last year, I thought we're just going to continue on that. But yeah, so it's a shame it's going back. When we, like you said, we could have had it good, but I think it's still up to fans in it to get involved and to get there anyway, regardless which stadium it's played in, really.
Yeah, it's a good point. Still got to. Sorry, I took a mouthful of food there. Still got to back it, and no matter where it is, I guess. Hinchy, would you rather it stay at Wembley or move to Spurs or elsewhere?
I didn't go to Spurs or away, but if they're playing the 1895 game as well, long time paying £6 for a 1 bottle of Budweiser, and there's not in the stadium for like fan experience like Spurs. So you get trapped once you get in, and I don't know. I think Spurs is more designed for them kind of things where people can go downstairs, have a beer, and not studying concourse, just passing time till whatever. It's just here. Plus, Wembley's not as good as I made out it to be either. Kind of does me head in.
Tucker, would you rather go to a new stadium or a stadium that you've been to before?
I've never been to Wembley, truthfully. So I'd ideally like them to build something completely new and better, something that you can see from space, maybe local to Leeds, have something absolutely extraordinary. So it's more to me, really. Just build a new one, yeah.
I like your style, yeah. Purpose-built rugby league ball.
Just some mad super stadium that you see in some sort of like sci-fi films or something. Mad lights, fireworks, the lot.
So from Space Jam.
Great. Yeah, like Space Jam. I've like so many tiered levels in the stadium, big tournaments, and you have your finals there, it'd be great. And then I could get there because I'm not too fond of going to London. It's too much effort.
Mate, the RFL can't even market the game right.
Mind the Space Jam stadium.
Exactly.
I think the bigger thing about the announcement for me is I don't like the fact it's going back to Wembley. I think they've missed the trick with Tottenham. I think it's a brilliant stadium. But I think the big thing is that with the women's final being held on the same day as well, I'm glad that's been brought in because it'll only help grow the women's game as well. And it might mean that other teams from the league might come down as well. That if they weren't involved in the men's final, they might come down for the women's final instead, and then watch both. So might have more chance of filling the stadium.
Precisely.
We haven't filled the stadium for. I don't remember filling Wembley for a long time. In fact, have we ever filled Wembley for the Challenge Cup?
Not the new one, I don't think.
No, I don't think we would have done.
I think
There's
the
always
highest one. Am I right in saying
corporate section, isn't there? That Club Wembley, which is always
Club
empty around
yeah.
middle.
Yeah,
that middle
that winds
ring?
me up because that's the bit that's always on TV, isn't it? It's why I don't like
Exactly.
this. It's when I don't like the South Stand. The one reason I don't like our South Stand is because the TV camera's on that, and it looks at the corporate, and they're always laid out a bit as well, and it looks empty. It's just, that annoys me. It's the same reason why I don't like Wembley as well, because they're never out, are they? They're still having tea and biscuits 15 minutes after the arse begun.
Yeah, they're not asked about it.
But yeah, no. So that's a good decision. But for me, I'd have kept it at top one personally.
I would have think they missed a trick as well, and I think Spurs as well only holds. I say only like 60,000, something like that. So I think
60 something. Like
65. That's like
62. It holds
62. Yeah. So that's. I feel like that as like the cup final attendance, is achievable. If you get a Wigan Saints or Leeds Saints, that will be sold out. And I think that would look better as well in a better stadium, to be honest.
Last time it touched 80,000.
I think it will lead Hull KR. That was
Hull
close.
KR 2015. That was 80,000.
Yeah,
we had 85,000 when Warrington stuffed us. 38.6 in 2010. 84,000 at 2007 in its first year it's open. So it's never been full. It's been close. But in the latter year, I mean, in 2019, Warrington St Helens, it was 62.
Yeah, so it'd have filled Spurs.
It'd have filled Spurs.
It'd have been a full house, on BBC One, looking good in a new stadium. I don't know. They seem to shoot themselves in foot, if you ask me. But then it's like they must have some kind of deal in place with Wembley. I don't know.
I'm just reading the announcement now, and it does say that they opted not to take because Wembley was not. I don't know. Hang on, I'm reading it now. They've not ruled out returning to Tottenham, although it does have a long-term deal with the National Stadium Company.
That's probably why they've gone back. Then you can only assume.
Yeah.
Are we going into Super League?
Yeah, we'll do.
I feel like you should do this like.
Go on.
No, like the BBC have stopped doing the full-time classifieds.
Oh right, yeah. I can try if you really, really want, but I'm not sure how much how good it would be.
Here's Reece with the Super League full-time classified.
Warrington Wolves. Well, the Darryl Parrell Sackways is not as fun this week.
I know. Spoiled sport.
But yeah, so Warrington with 32 winners, 32-18 against Toulouse. With other results this weekend, I think that's Toulouse done.
Yeah.
Which is a
unfortunately
massive shame. On Friday, Catalan did not do us a favour, and Castleford won 18 points to 8. Obviously, the other fixture on Friday was us, and we won 28-20. Just in case you didn't know. The game on Channel 4 on Saturday was Salford Huddersfield, and Salford were immense, and they won 33-16.
Looking good. They're looking really good.
Wakey beat Wigan 30 points to 12 today. And Hull
they just won't die, will they?
Well, Hull
just
have
keep getting
died.
back up.
Hull have died because they got beat 60 points to 6 today by St Helens at home. So table-wise, that does mean that Toulouse are 4 points behind Wakey with 4 games to go. Warrington sit where they have always sat this year in 10th. Hull FC are down to 9th now. KR 8th. Salford are up to 7th, so they're 1 point behind us. Castleford are still 5th, and then Catalan 4th, Huddersfield 3rd, and then Wigan and Saints make up the top 2. So nothing really changes from that perspective.
I think I agree with Reece there. Do you feel that that's it now? Toulouse are done.
Yeah, and it's a shame, really, isn't it? Because when you're going about that development at game, I mean, look at what I think Steve McNamara mentioned it other night, didn't he? Look how much Catalans have achieved. And I know they've had a bit of protection and they've got a massive backer, but with the right financial support and everything else, the game can grow. And to be up and down just like a one-season wonder, we haven't really given him chance. But Yeah, it's a shame, really, especially when you look around at some of them what we'd class as the lower clubs, such as your Wakey and maybe Cass are in there as well.
Definitely,
they probably
Cass.
don't offer. Yeah, they don't offer what Toulouse or another team coming in could offer. With that right support and package in place.
Hinchy, do you agree with that? Do you think Toulouse are done now?
Yeah. To be fair, I like Wakey. I don't mind. It's quite close to me to go, but I would hope people are going to continue sliding down. But that referee had different ideas on Friday, I think, or Thursday. So that's them done.
Toulouse done. It's a shame. Steve McNamara is right. They did need Toulouse. Sorry, did need time to be nurtured and given a chance, but
I'm still holding hope that IMG might change something and it might change what happens with the leagues. I'm still holding out a bit of hope there.
Straight out of my mouth. I swear me and Reese are the same person. I also think, though, that
one's got hair, one doesn't, you mean?
One's really good looking.
Oh, sorry, I feel you.
You leave the baldness out.
Better not,
leave the skinheads alone.
I can do that to Eddie because he's 5'6", but you've told me you're a fireman, so I'm probably a bit more scared of calling you baldy.
I'll just bonk you on head.
Yeah.
But in terms of Toulouse, I do think that I was really excited when they did get promoted because it's Toulouse. It's a gorgeous place to live. I thought they're going to be attractive to good talent, Super League level talent, not just these journeymen. They'll bring in a couple of NRL players, like solid, real impressive signings, but they haven't done that. When you look at the squad, it is just Toronto again and Lee again. It's the same players. I just think, in a way, they've not really pulled the trigger in terms of getting that investment and really gambling on it, on staying up. So I think they do kind of deserve it, really, in terms of investment in the squad. Would you agree with that, Reese?
Yeah, I do agree. I think it'll be a shame to lose.
It's a shame.
I think they added a lot to the game. But I think as well, for me, keeping Toulouse in the league means French rugby grows, and therefore the France team becomes more competitive, which makes it better for the international during the international game as well. So it doesn't just affect Super League; it affects the wider international game, rugby league as well, having those teams involved. So, like I said, I secretly hope how that IMG might, as part of their advice or whatever, might change something. But we'll have to wait.
They might relegate Cass and Wakey, keep Toulouse and promote York.
Tucker, have you got an ice lolly?
I bloody do.
Oh, God, I'm right jealous of that. Sorry.
We're all melting, and he's just nipped off for an ice lolly.
I took the opportunity since me got kicked out, so I've got a block of ice because I think my phone's about to blow up. It's that hot.
That's how hot this podcast is. So, Darryl Powell, Hinchy, we've kind of been saying on this podcast all season, Reese, for quite some time.
Especially in the last 4 or 5 weeks, we've had a 5-minute stint on the sack race and sack watch, and how's he still got a job?
So how's Darryl Powell still got a job, Hinchy? Do you think it's a matter of time, or do you think they're going to keep hold of him at Wire?
But we all know it's all about training ground. To do well on the training ground, he'll have a job. So talk himself out of a paper bag, he'll be all right, because I don't think they're dead. I just don't think they have the balls to do it. So just being crap, and I'm quite happy with that.
Yeah, we all are, actually. Keep him there. Phil, you've been on the podcast this year. Were we, on your previous appearance on this podcast, were we talking about Darryl Powell getting sacked?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not. It was just about when we were on about as Agard had enough, and then following week he decided to do the admirable thing and step aside.
Good man.
But I think I don't know. Darryl Powell, it's like he's become untouchable, isn't it? And he's gone.
Yeah.
You were saying it in last week's podcast that he must be seeing some of what other people are, because again he was saying last week he thought they played well and stuff and things like that, didn't he? But yeah, I'm not his biggest fan, but I think Brett Hodgson's in that. I think he'll go before Darryl Powell.
Yeah,
he will.
I agree with that, especially with today's result.
Yeah,
60 points.
The chairman's ruthless, isn't he? He'll probably hang him in Hull Squared on Sunday morning.
we beat them. What was it? 62-10.
Yeah.
Wigan beat them. God, Wigan get 70 on them.
Yeah, I think they touched 70, didn't they?
And then
Bevan French got 7 tries, didn't he?
7 tries, and then they've been bad again today. So they might have to turn this into the Hodgson. I think
Maybe.
Brett Hodgson's winning this sack race at the moment. I think the sad news from that game was, am I right in saying Jack Walker got injured?
I've not seen, actually.
Not heard.
I saw something briefly on Twitter before we came on air, and it was Brett Hodgson saying he heard a loud cracking.
He got
Walker's
the try.
foot.
I know he got the try.
Got the first try, didn't he? Just in terms of
Jack Walker came off on 32 minutes.
Injured, yeah. In terms of Jack Walker Hinchy, what do you see him having a future at Leeds, or do you think it's pretty much decided he'll be leaving now?
Aren't we after someone from Batley that's kind of young and a fullback?
Yes, Luke. Is it Luke Hooley?
Luke Hooley, yeah.
I think that's him done because he's not going to get in for Zach if we do keep Zach. And then if he's going to be the next guy to take the number 1 shirt. But I've been wanting rid of him for like 2 or 3 years. It's nothing against him. We've had enough people that just take a pay packet in physio room. We can't really do it anymore.
Yeah.
I think it's held us back for quite a long time. I know people can't help it, but we need people on the pitch.
Yeah. Phil, how do you see it? Do you think Walker will be staying, or do you think it's time he left?
No, I think he's right. I think he'll go, even if it's not with Hull. But I feel a bit sorry for him in some ways because he seems a little bit injury prone, doesn't he? Wherever he goes, because on his day he's a good player and he's got makings to be a great player. But I think he's just always going to be sort of like followed around by that big dark injury cloud all his career, unfortunately. But yeah, I think his time at Leeds is done.
Tucker, do you know much about Jack Walker?
I know a little bit. If memory serves me right, which isn't really good anyway, but he was there. He started as a young one, didn't he? When we had Ryan Hall back in team and stuff, and we had some of the greats. And he did show, he showed a lot of promise. As a young player, he's done really well for the team early on, but it just seems to be made out of glass. And every time I've watched a game recently, which hasn't been many games, truthfully, but when I have seen him, the past few games I have seen, is either off injured or whatever. So, I mean, I don't know if he'll end up retiring soon because he's just broken completely or not. But I don't think he'll have long left with Leeds, truthfully.
No, I don't. Unfortunately, I think a lot of promise in his career, like Tucker says there. Coming in at how old is 17 when he won grand final in 2017. He came on, literally burst on the scene and just thought, wow, this kid's this boy at the time is a true superstar. Do you think he's got a future at Leeds, Reese?
I don't think so. Not with the rumours that were going around. We may live to regret it, and if we do, good on him. But I don't. I think we'll be giving another year to Zach. I mean, I don't know how with his current form, he deserves it personally. And if he keeps everything together, that's great. I just don't know where he fits. Myler, even though he's playing well in the halves at the moment, he's another player that can play really well at fullback. So I just don't see where Jack Walker fits in, especially if we sign Luke Hooley as well. So I think it'd be okay for him to go. And if we live to regret it, we live to regret it. But I think at the moment in time, I think it's the right decision.
I think the only way we can live to regret it, Jack Walker leaving us, is if he plays, is if he stays fit and plays elsewhere. Otherwise, he's not broken down, but he's got injured at Hull in today's game. It's just like more of the same Jack Walker, and it's like we need. Yeah. I do want him to kind of show, even if he does leave, I do want him to play and kind of show everybody exactly what he's got. So I just think look like same with Harry Newman as well. It's like just get him back. I think Newman played 6 games on it and looks like he's got a hamstring injury now. Like Reece said earlier, he did put on Instagram that 2022 is not over for him yet. Whether that means for the Rhinos or he'll be back in time for the World Cup, not quite sure because he did delete it quite quickly. So he might have got some bad news after they put that up. But it's like I've said it before on the pod, but I'd rather the best players play. I always think it's a shame when, even if it's someone like Bevan French who's playing against us, if they go off injured, I'm like, well, that's not, it's not what you come to see, really. You come to see the best players, and if they're all in stands, it makes the game lack quality. So I do think that Jack will be leaving, but it's quite sad that it's ended this way. But then we don't know what we're getting in Luke Hooley. I was kind of hoping that we made a move for Bevan French, but it looks like he's going to the NRL. So I was kind of hoping we'd get rid of Zach, get rid of Bodine Thompson and everyone else off, have some decent cap space available and a marquee spot, should it be required, and kind of make a play for Bevan French. But that seems to have not happened or not going to happen. Do you think that we kind of said I think it was last week's podcast, hinted at, it looks like Rowan Smith's heading up the recruitment? Do you agree with that? That the players were linked with Alford, Leon Ruan and Luke Hooley, all kind of different to what we usually what Leeds usually go for. Hinchy, do you think that Rowan Smith's definitely leading the recruitment for Leeds now?
Yeah, because you usually just hear the same old names, the same old rubbish that they're just me over, and then we're seeing players that I haven't even heard of. And I'm not saying I'm an expert in the league, but it seems to be picking players that I've promised that just come to finish their careers off, or they're not coming to Leeds to send Leeds Rhinos play, which I think we've had far too many of. Far too many have come to us and retired a year later, saying they're not asked about playing anymore, and it's just like, who's recruiting these players?
How do you see it, Phil? Do you think it's definitely Rowan Smith kind of leading the recruitment side of things now?
It's certainly got that flavour about it, hasn't it? And like, you know, you just said there, it's different to, you always had to be sort of like, we always used to like sign superstars, etc. and that stuff. But Rowan Smith at the minute seems to have his own shopping list around, what positions he wants to strengthen the squad, etc. And it looks like it is him driving it forward. So, if we can unearth some up and coming good players and unnecessarily, and fortunately not come through our youth system. Sometimes I think we relied on that quite a lot. But I think he's wanting to test water and bring some up and coming younger players into Leeds who haven't come through our system and give him a chance. So yeah, it looks like he's got a good list.
Are you happy with the list that you've seen, Reese? Do you think kind of unearthing like a gem or trying to find a gem at a decent age is better than hiring someone like Zayn Tetevano, Matt Pryor?
I like the strategy. I haven't watched Championship much. I haven't watched League One, so I can't tell you what Luke's like, and I can't tell you what. I
don't think any of us can.
No, but again, it kind of just falls back onto what we spoke about with Rob on Thursday. Was if Rowan thinks it's right and he thinks
listen to us, man. Oh yeah, we spoke.
I'm just going to name drop
Rob Oates.
Name dropping.
But I fully trust Rowan. So if he thinks there's something special there, then I'm happy for it. I like the strategy. It's how I play Football Manager. So, yeah, I like the strategy. I just hopefully it comes to fruition.
I like it too. I think it's more refreshing, and it's like giving lower league players the chance, because not many of them do get signed and come up. So I think it's like it gives them, the opportunity to be like, right, there are Super League options there. And I also think it kind of tells us all just how involved Rowan is with the English, British, European game, in that he's kind of marked out a League One player and a Championship player. He's obviously doing his homework and watching not just Super League, but he's watching as much rugby league as he can, or he's got a scouting network and kind of like guiding him and to find these gems. I suppose we'll see who we sign and how it works out, really. But I think it's refreshing. I'd rather do that than I think it was Hinchy that said, hiring someone from the NRL. I mean, do you remember Bo Falloon? We signed him. He was 26. They had a couple of appearances for Titans, I think, and Parramatta, I think it was. 26 years old. He came over here, played for us, were absolutely pants, and then we just terminated his contract, whatever it was, mutual agreement. He went back to Australia, and he never played again.
No.
Oh, he just retired. I'm finished. I'm done. I'm adios. I'm like, that's the. So if it's taking a chance on a lower league player, or God forbid, getting the next Buffaloon, then to me there's only one way, and it seems that the club are kind of going down that route and giving lower league talent the opportunity. I mean, anything else to add, Reece? Or are we opening this mailbag?
No, I think let's get to the mailbag.
Let's open it up. We'll open up the mailbag. This is the part of the podcast where we have you guys listening to this or on Twitter, getting involved with us, asking us questions and sharing your thoughts. If you do want to share your thoughts with us or ask a question, at Lot17A on Twitter or at The Owl and Fleece or Lot17A at Outlook.com if you'd like to send it via email. The first one's from Harry. It's not a question. It's like just some of Harry's thoughts. Keep up the great work with the podcast, Lottie and Reece, and your regular guests too. I enjoy their differing views and have enjoyed getting to know the regulars from afar. A few months back, I was feeling pretty low and not like my usual self, but listening to your podcast really helped me as I felt like I had friends to speak about the Rhinos with. This may sound really sad, but I answer the questions that you all talk about on the podcast and add my own thoughts when listening to you guys. Thanks for unknowingly helping me when I needed a boost, Harry. Thanks for your kind words, Harry. In terms of you're saying that it sounds pathetic that you answer the questions that we talk about, I think that's exactly what this podcast's about, engaging with it and kind of playing along with it. And just speaking for myself, as I only can do, whenever I listen to a podcast or the radio, I listen to it to be engaged. And I talk to my son, especially when I'm in a room by myself. So, for instance, yesterday, as we record this, Scum got absolutely battered yesterday. It was great by Brentford 4-0. So as soon as that finished, I went into the garage to set up my amazing studio that has just fallen face first, as you all heard earlier, listening to BBC Radio 5 Live 606 phoning. And as the people speak on that, and I kind of say, no, they're rubbish and, they're crap. And so I engage with that. Does anyone else here kind of listen to podcasts and things to think and engage with it?
I do sometimes. And I don't think it's sad at all, because sometimes when I've heard stuff on the TV or on the radio they're interviewing... What's that, sorry?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, go on, sorry.
Yeah, and if someone's asking like an interviewer a question, I always end up pretending that I'm in that seat getting asked that question, and then I would then think about that question and give it myself. It's like I'm getting interviewed in my own daydream, and then all of a sudden I've forgotten what they're talking about because I'm winding myself up thinking I'm the one getting interviewed. But I think it's just a normal thing, really. And I think podcasts as well, I think they've increased like dramatically over like the whole COVID period, because it is to engage more people and stuff, and to be there for other people that can be struggling as well. So, I'm glad that, you feel like it's made you feel a bit better as well during the all bad times and stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for your kind words, Harry. And I hope you're feeling good, and anything that helps you feel better, just do it, mate. The next question is from Liam R. And Liam asks us, what is the worst hangover you have ever had? Hinchy, have you had any stinking hangovers?
Everyone's had a stinking hangover. I was surprised if no one. Yeah. Do you know when Leeds got promoted back to Premier League a couple of years ago?
Yeah.
I was fishing for a weekend with people that didn't like football, and I had no idea that Huddersfield were playing. And I got a text saying Leeds are promoted. So I'm in a tent with just like a bed, right, middle of Lincoln, and I had them little bottles of lager you can get from I had like 24 of them. In space about 3 hours, about 15,000 cigs. Walk up for it, just roasting, needing a piss. Forgot I was on a bed that folded up and just kind of went right in my face. Fell out my tent, pissed all up my... and was like, I ain't laughed this. And I just sat for like 3 hours just staring at the wall thinking, what am I doing? And that was, that's my worst hangover. And I'm going a few hours then.
I like this guy. Phil, have you ever had any stinking hangovers? Worst one you've ever had?
Yeah, probably too many to mention. Too many to mention, really. But yeah, I mean, I absolutely dread hangovers now.
Oh,
If I know I'm going out, I know I've got to that age where I prefer to go out on an afternoon and get home like late, stroke early evening, but whatever. But I think one of the worst hangovers I've ever had were when I was quite a lot younger, and you know when you think you're a little bit invincible, but we started drinking Pernod, and that it was horrendous.
Dude,
And
I was Superman.
yeah, I were young and stupid, really. I think about 18, 19, but Pernod, it's something I've never been able to touch since. I think I felt like death for about 4 or 5 days after that. And when you're that young, hangovers shouldn't make a difference, should they? But yeah, definitely not touched Pernod since, and I don't think I ever will do again.
What's your worst ever hangover, Tucker?
Oh, I've had plenty of bad ones. Now I'm in my 30s. They just do not like bode well with me whatsoever. But when I was younger, I think early 20s, I had some sort of dodgy mole that was just mutating into something potentially nasty or something. So I got that like cut out at the hospital, and as soon as I got that surgically removed, I went out on lash. And going around Leeds City Centre in crutches, I ended up in this place. I think it was called George's or St. George's or something. Yeah, pretty much. So I drank a hell of a lot, and I was drinking for a very long time. And I was that badly hungover in the morning. I remember having to wake up and hop into the bathroom. And I think I was still drunk, and my head was that woozy that I actually passed out mid-piss. I was having a piss, and I thought, "Oh no, this isn't feeling good." I'm looking like a flamingo, balancing on one leg, and then I think I just decked it, fell backwards. And next thing I know, I've come around, and there's just piss everywhere, and I'm like, "Oh no, I don't need this in my life."
Pissing like a flamingo.
I don't think I can beat either of Hinchy's or Tucker's, to be honest. The one I had this morning was quite unfair and horrible, to be fair. But no, I think the ones that stick out for me was we went on rugby tour to Isle of Man, and the Sunday and waking up after that was horrendous. But on the rugby tour, it's 10 o'clock. It's straight back into the pub and carrying on. But it took me about 3 hours, I think, to have this first pint. And once I got that first pint out of the way, it was fine. But that was a stonking hangover. But I think the other one was when I lived in New Zealand for when I traveled in New Zealand for a year. We had a Christmas Day with our friends there, and we just got absolutely hammered on Christmas Day. And I think we resurfaced about midday on Boxing Day. And I just looked at my mate and I went, no. And I think I got up about 10 p.m. that day. So they're the two hangovers, but no piss, no sick, none of this stuff that's been going on here. I must
How very boring.
Yeah. So
I've stopped drinking now. I've been sober for over 3 years now, but mainly because I had children, and I thought I can't go out and get hammered. And then the next day, I had one child, at the time, and then look at my kid. And my kid be wanting to go to the park and go to a playground, and I'm hanging out my ass, feeling sorry for myself. So I said, right, I'm not drinking anymore. I'm not when it's affecting my kids, it's wrong. Just my opinion. People live however you want to live. So I stopped drinking. That was the main reason I stopped drinking. But a close second was just how severe my hangovers were. I mean, I tried everything to ease the pain of my hangovers, especially I've been on a bender. People say to have a fry up. People have different techniques. Drink milk before you go out. Have some paracetamol and a pint of water before you go to bed. Nothing worked for me at all. I just used to die a death. And as I got to about 25, kind of hangover free. From 25 onwards, they were just horrific. And they got worse and worse and worse. I thought, no, adding that together with the kids, I thought I have to stop drinking. But the worst one I ever had was I had 2 stag do's, and one of them was in Prague, and it started on the Thursday because the Rhinos played Huddersfield at Headingley. So we've been drinking all day on the Thursday. We flew out to Prague on early hours of Friday morning, then the airport, and it just rolled over to 1 week. By the time I got back from Prague, I was finished. I was supposed to go to work like on the Tuesday, and I had the whole week off in bed. Just anxiety through the roof. Couldn't drink, couldn't eat. Just so severely hungover. And that was without shadow of a doubt the worst hangover of my entire life. I could have stopped. I probably should have stopped drinking after that. But yeah, that was without doubt, Liam, the worst hangover I've ever had in my life. Last week we on the podcast, we were on the mailbag. I can't remember who asked the question, but someone asked us a question about crying, and it seems to have resonated with a few people, including Alana, who says, "I found your recent podcast where you all spoke about crying and how often you do it so fascinating as a girl. As a girl, it was very refreshing to hear fully grown blokes talking and being so open about crying. Keep up the good work." That kind of came out of the blue, didn't it, Reese? That we can, as the people know on this podcast know, and for anyone that has never been on the podcast, I give everyone a heads up on the questions for the podcast, for the mailbag, so you're kind of aware of. It's not just thrown on you like. But yeah, last week, Reese, on the last podcast, the crying one, everyone was aware it were coming, but I didn't expect it to be so open.
No. And it was great. And I only really realised how good that conversation was when I re-listened back to the podcast later on that day. And that's when I texted you to say that was actually quite refreshing and quite, especially with the news we heard about Paul Green this week, unfortunately.
Precisely, yeah.
Who took his own life. And I love the fact it was, we were just talking about quite laughing to each other about crying and stuff. I don't know what you feel like with crying. But I think me and Lottie are apparently crying all the time between us. I haven't watched DIY SOS since we last did the podcast, so I haven't cried since the podcast. That's because I've not watched that TV show.
But I think being open, like I say, especially with the news of Paul Green this week, and males, especially men. I know we're not going that deep into it at the moment, but just to be open and just to admit, your flaws. We all have faults, and just being as open as you can. Obviously, it was quite refreshing for Alana. It was also quite refreshing for Will, who says, just a quick one to say, well played on the last podcast for discussing crying as men. It was very open of you all to speak honestly and not hide or pretend. I think that's what we are. It's just, you want to be yourself, really. Some people cry, some people don't. And I think all 4 of us, me, Reese, Chris and Laurie, were open and, just handled it as best we could. This is a question for Reese from Gordo. It's an NFL question. Hinchey, Phil, Tucker, and any of you's big NFL fans?
Yeah, I'd like to say yeah, but I don't think I've seen the game properly. It takes far too long, and I can't stay awake till early hours in the morning just to watch some of about 50 million commercial breaks.
I agree. Phil, Hinchey, NFL fans?
Yeah. I'll go every now and again.
Yeah,
I've never been, but I don't mind watching Super Bowl. But it's not. Yeah, I can watch any sport really.
Perhaps you can all answer this then. It's from Gordo, and Gordo asks, "Who does Reese think will win the Super Bowl this coming season, and who does Reese think may be the dark horses for the coming season?" Reese, who's going to win the Super Bowl?
Before I answer that, I'm just going to respond to Tucker. One, it's 6 o'clock on a Sunday, the games kick off, so it's not in the middle of the night. There's some games off at the middle of the night. But I wouldn't judge a game just by watching a normal game. If anyone wants to get into NFL or try it, watch Red Zone, because Red Zone is absolutely brilliant. It's like Final Score or Gillette Soccer Saturday, but it flicks between 8 live games. So there's no adverts. It starts 7 hours of commercial-free football, and literally when something happens in a game or another team's in attacking place, it just switches between 8 live games all at once. So it's really, really good. You don't get any of the boring parts. You don't get the adverts. And it's all action for about 6 hours, which is really, really good. I knew this question was coming, so I put my vintage Jacksonville Jaguars jersey on today for this. Who's going to win it this year? I think the Buffalo Bills will win it this year. They're looking really, really good and should have probably been in the Super Bowl last year. The dark horses, I'm going to say, are my team, Jacksonville, because no one likes Jacksonville. Don't want them to win, and we're building. We've got a new coach, so I reckon we could be some dark horses. Anyone else want to put some bets on who's going to win? Hinchy, maybe.
Rams, I think, might go back to back. But I like the Bills. I don't know, to be honest, because Tom Brady's playing again, and he's got a knack of doing all these rhinos, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's 40. Is he 43 now? I think it's Tom Brady. It's ridiculous how he's still playing.
He drugs to keep himself looking young. I don't care. Oh, he's an alien.
It's a good point. It's a good point, and it's a good question, really. Not just for this pod, but for the known world. Is Tom Brady an alien? You know, I mean,
he's 45.
These are the questions, really, because you're talking about a guy here who, I mean, when did he start playing? 1926 or something.
2000, he was picked.
2000.
Draft. Yeah.
43, playing at the highest level.
He's 45.
45.
If you look at his, and you look at him now, is that an alien or is that work done?
A bit like Paul Rudd, that guy hasn't aged at all in decades either, has he?
No, Paul Rudd, I said this to my wife, this is a hill I'll die on. Paul Rudd has drank from the fountain of youth. He has. He absolutely has, Either that or he's an alien. This needs to be like a mailbag section now that Hinch is created. Like, we have to start listing people who we think are aliens because they're either too good looking or too good at sport.
But all most are going to be Americans, though, really, aren't they? You won't really see an English person really that's 90 and looks about 12.
I don't know. Danny Maguire looking pretty good on Friday. Not bad. I've only said it
twice. He's talking about bringing his kit out again, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I thought lot of be having a crisis. He still goes to bed every night, kissing his frame, his print frame he's got.
It's correct. He's not joking. I do. Just back to the NFL. I am supposedly a Chicago Bears fan. Are they any good, Reese?
No, not really. But their division's not that strong either. So they've got a new, rookie quarterback from last year who was fairly good. But they're not as strong as they have been in previous seasons.
I miss Jay Cutler. Those are the days. What about the last time the Bears made the playoffs? 2010. Have they made it since?
I can't remember, to be honest.
No. Yeah, who cares? The next question. Let's take a look here. It's from Tyler. Tyler's the music man on the podcast. Is there a band or artist that you used to enjoy listening to, but now you dislike? Reese, is there some band or artist that you used to like, but now you can't stand?
Probably U2, and we spoke about this before, but it's because of that bloody album they put on everyone's iTunes.
Oh, they forced it onto the iTunes, I remember.
And after they did that, I just fell out of love with them, and I don't really listen to them anymore. So I'm going to say U2.
Hinchy?
I used to like him, and I've been around a couple of weeks ago, and it bored me to tears. And I was like, can you just... Lightning season played for an hour and were class. They came on and just bored me. I thought, yeah, you need to...
Tucker? Bands or artists that you used to like but now you can't stand?
Coldplay.
I agree with that.
Coldplay.
I knew that was coming at some point.
Their first album, what was it, Parachutes, and then they released Rush of Blood to the Head. That were brilliant. And then when they came out with XY or something and whatever they've got now, and just Chris Martin's just such a sanctimonious twat.
Say what you really mean, Tucker. Say what
I'm
you
a
really
speaking man, young man.
Yeah, I can't stand him. He's such a twat. But Coldplay used to be brilliant. They have released some really good hits, but then they became overly commercial, and I don't know. They just got away with what the original sound and broke away. And I can't listen to Coldplay anymore. Every time I hear him, a little piece of me dies inside.
Really? That's
yeah. I've got no soul.
I agree
now.
with that. I do agree with that. Phil?
Coldplay for me as well. I used to be a massive fan, but like you said, now going back and you listen to them and that and stuff. You just think, how many hours have I listened to you just drone on? But yeah, and at the minute they're selling Wembley out though, aren't they? Everybody I know at the minute are down in London. Yeah, they're all down in London watching Coldplay.
Spotify mad. Yeah, Coldplay, that's one of mine. I used to love them. Saw them loads back in the day, right up until Viva La Vida. I think after majority of Viva La Vida album I enjoyed. After that, they just fell off a cliff. I just thought, no, they're too commercial now, and like, I don't know, we're like American songs for American commercial radio. I can't stand Liam or Noel Gallagher these days, especially Noel Gallagher. They can say what they want, in the media. That doesn't bother me. Do and say what you want. But Noel Gallagher's music, Jesus Christ, why has he turned into this whiny old man? And I'm talking about his music style here. All his songs are all whiny and I think if you were an alien, going back to aliens again, and you'd heard Oasis, and then people were playing Noel Gallagher's music and were saying, "Who do you think that is singing now?" I don't think you'd say it's Noel Gallagher. From the difference between the stuff he were writing and singing in Oasis, and I know you've got to go your own way, but it's fucking awful. It's absolutely awful. The transition that he's made from the stuff he did, and I know later Oasis is shite, Lila and things like that. And all from that, early Oasis is amazing, but the later Oasis is really bad, but just awful, absolutely awful music. And Liam Gallagher's music is appalling, and you can tell he's writing it himself. His lyrics are just absolutely diabolical. And the thing is, as well, with Liam and Noel Gallagher's music is the music that they're creating now is music that shouldn't be getting any airtime, but it's because of who they are. It's the music's getting played, if that makes sense. If the music that Liam Gallagher were releasing now was released by, I don't know, indie band from 2022, they wouldn't get the airtime that he gets. They just wouldn't. Fell off a cliff.
Yeah, because they're quite big personalities out there as well online. Like on Twitter, they're always sharing the 2 pence about and just being absolute divvies. But I mean, a bit of an unpopular opinion. I've never really liked Oasis. There was a couple of songs of theirs that I do like, but I've never liked Oasis. I think they're so overrated. It is unbelievable.
I get that to an extent. As I said, to a point. Their music career, like, awesome, and then but that's every band, innit? I mean, I'm a massive Clash fan. Even the Clash, you get to a point and you're like, you get to a certain album and you're like, beyond that, it is unlistenable. It's just absolute crap. Tyler is our music man. Brian is our film man, movie man. And the time is now, Reese, I'm afraid. It took Brian, I think Brian's been asking us questions for 5 weeks, 6 weeks. But the time is now, I'm afraid.
It's Marvel, isn't it?
Yeah, he's got your arm up your back, and he's going to force you to make a decision. Okay, guys, the time is now. What is your favourite Marvel Cinematic Universe film? And there's one rule from Brian: you can only choose one. So I think we'll start with Hinchy. First of all, Hinchy, are you a superhero film fan?
I think they're all right. I'm not.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all right, aren't they?
Which one's your favourite?
Get out.
I like, is it 4? I like them ones.
4, yeah?
Yeah. I'll go with that.
Just before I move on, have we lost Phil? Are you there, Phil?
Phil's gone, yeah.
Phil's gone, right. Tucker, what's
which
your favourite?
4 though? Which 4 do you like though? Because you have to pick one. You can't pick a franchise.
Oh yeah, which 4 is it, Hinchy?
Which 4? There's only one correct answer for this, by the way, as well.
Is it because there's 3? That's in the latest one. The one where they're popping cans in that space and it reappears. I don't know.
Ragnarok.
Yeah, the one where his sister's a half. The big, massive sister.
Yeah.
That one.
Ragnarok. That's a good choice. Chucker, which was your
the only
favourite,
correct
mate?
answer. I was a bit stumped by this one because I do quite like Marvel, and I think for me, my favourite superhero is Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So for me, it's going to have to be the animated Enter the Multiverse Spider-Man. That is just done so brilliantly. The artwork and everything, the animations, phenomenal, and the soundtrack is brilliant as well. So for me, Enter the Multiverse.
Reese, I think this is now the third podcast in a row, the third week in a row, maybe second, that we've raved about Into the Spider-Verse.
It's not my favourite, though.
What's your favourite then? Have you decided?
I mean, there's loads. I mean, there's so many good ones. All the origin stories from Phase 1, I think, are all brilliant movies. Ragnarok is outstanding. But I think I would have to choose between Ragnarok, Infinity War, and Endgame, and I'm probably going to go Endgame, because it was just a culmination of an 18 movie sequel, and it was just done brilliantly and really, really cleverly. And I cried at the end of that as well, actually, when they did the funeral. Cried at that one, but yeah. So Endgame is the one I've probably watched most and repeated, and I just thought the feeling I had in the cinema watching that one was brilliant. So I'm going to go Endgame.
I found that quite surprising. I mean, I loved Endgame, but I thought it was mostly just boring until they got to the end point. But
until they got to the end game.
Yeah. I mean, spoiler alert if no one's ever seen it at this point, but when Captain America picks up Mjolnir, Thor's hammer with his shield, that was a big cheddar moment for me. And then everyone started appearing. But that's when it started to properly get going, when it's about to bloody finish.
Have a word.
Well, but you're not even Enter the Spider-Verse. What are you on about?
Right, I know, I love that. I love that movie, but I know what we say on this podcast, opinions are welcome, and that's fine. But that's just wrong. That's just wrong. So yeah, you will not be invited back on again now.
I like that first one of them. Guardians, them two are probably the best two, actually.
Yeah, Guardians.
Correct. You've just took my answer. My favourite is Guardians of the Galaxy. Mainly because it was a group of heroes that not many people had heard of, kind of thrown together into this universe, and the laughter in it, the heart in it, the fact that my wife, who hates superhero films, loves it. I was like, it's obviously drawing people in who it's not even marketed to. So for me, it's Guardians of the Galaxy. That's my favourite. But I have seen the latest Thor. Is it Thor 4?
Yeah, Love and Thunder.
Yeah.
Thor 4. That's rubbish. I mean,
I've not seen it yet, so don't say anything.
No, I'll say it's rubbish. I watched that, and it wasn't good. I won't say anymore because I know it's still in the cinema. Ellie says, I loved your idea with the Cam Smith Appreciation Society badges. Will there be any other badges available in future? I think so. There'll be no more Cam Smith Appreciation Society badges. That's a run of 80. I think we've got about 8 left as this records. I'm not posting out anymore. I'll just be selling these 8. We'll just be selling these 8 at the Warrington game, before and after. So as soon as they're sold, they're £1 each. As soon as they're sold, they're gone. In terms of will there be any more? I don't know. Should we do any more badges, Reese? What do you think?
I think we just got to wait. There'll be another moment, another player that stands out, and we'll do it. So I think naturally when something happens, for example, when Harry Newman scores a 100-meter try in the grand final, maybe we do one for Harry. We do something like that for that. However we win that grand final, we'll have to do something for that.
We could get our good friend Zach Brown's EB Creative to create a design of Nathan Cleary's knock on. In the 2023 World Club Challenge. We could utilise that as the next badge,
Maybe.
Who knows, Ellie? Who knows? I've got to rein my sen back in when it comes to ideas for the podcast, but it's slowly growing. The next big thing will be the fanzine, which I'd like to thank everybody that has submitted either artwork or articles or offered to stand there and sell it, which is unbelievable. That's the next big thing that's going to come. We're going to get the ball rolling on the fanzine and designing that and getting that out, and then from there, me and Reese previously have talked about merch. You know, the sky's the limit. Sky's the limit on this thing. We're just copying the square ball. Elliot says, "What's something boring, or other people might consider boring, that you enjoy doing?" So I think he means like a boring interest or a boring hobby. Hinches or something other people might consider boring that you always enjoy doing.
I like golf and fishing, and I think they're classed as like as boring as you can get. So, but I am boring.
I would have to agree.
But I am boring, he says.
And I have a whale of a time, like, but yeah.
Tucker, anything that people might consider boring that you find interesting?
I don't know, to be honest. I think I've got a recent love and passion for like photography, and I try to like take some pictures when I remember to do so. Like, it's easy to like forget that you've got a camera and you're in the moment, and then sometimes you'll get your camera and then you're not in the actual moment. So, but for me, it's photography at the moment. That's a whole lot of moment words.
Well, that's Tucker for the moment. Reese, have you got any boring or what other people might consider boring or interesting hobbies?
I think some people, like, I don't know, I'm quite into gaming. Obviously, everyone knows I play Football Manager, so I don't know if anyone would think that was boring. But I really like board games as well. So we play board games quite a lot, not like Monopoly and stuff or Scrabble. Like, we play Ticket to Ride. We haven't played Pandemic since the pandemic. But we've got a new one called Duel at the moment and stuff. So yeah, I really like board games and stuff. So maybe some people might find that boring.
What's your favourite board game? I'm quite interested in them myself, to be honest.
Oh my god, look at this. It's a mailbag within a mailbag.
Ticket to Ride's always been a really big favourite of ours. I think probably Catan at the moment is probably my favourite at the moment. I really enjoy Catan.
I'll have a look into them too then.
Yeah. There's loads of different editions of Ticket to Ride, but I think we've got the European one, but there's different maps and stuff. But yeah, Ticket to Ride and Catan are the best two, I think.
Awesome.
In terms of me, I've recently, I always, every single night, I watch YouTube in bed. Every night. No. There won't be a night when I don't watch YouTube. And I'm not saying that's boring, but on YouTube, the things I watch, I would rather people see me naked than look at my YouTube search. That is the most embarrassing thing for me. I'd rather be stripped completely naked and walk across the whole pitch, walk around the pitch at Headingley to a full house than one person having my phone and seeing my YouTube search. Not because it's weird, just because, sometimes it's weird. But recently, I've gotten into like geography, and I know that's not weird or boring. Well, some people might say it's boring, but there's a particular channel, I can't remember what it's called. It's a woman, and all she does is kind of shows you like a map of a country. So she'll choose a country, so say it's Finland. She'll go around the map and tell you all different facts about all the cities and airports and rivers and canals and infrastructure and the politics and the religion. And I just find it so fascinating. But I don't know about you guys, but... Sorry?
It's like travelling, but you're in your own bed.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. It's like
do you have like an interesting fact you can share with the geographical YouTube searches?
No. That's exactly what I'm going to say. And then I don't know about you guys, but whenever I hear something really interesting, especially if it's factual, someone will say something or you'll watch something, and I kind of say to myself, whoa, that is such a good, interesting fact. I need to remember that. I must remember what's just been said or what I've read. And then I never remember it. Is anyone else similar to that?
Oh, no, I'm a repeater. I'll tell everyone. I'll probably tell people 2-3 times as well. It's like, there's that meme about Lord of the Rings. Is it because of the scene in Two Towers where he kicks a helmet in Aragorn and Viggo Mortensen and he breaks his toe doing it? So the actual scream is him doing it. There is a meme like of that, of going, people holding the tongue and stuff, not to stay that fact when they watch it with a girlfriend for the first time, whatever. But I'm one of those people, I'll just repeat facts. Even if I know someone already knows them, I'll just make sure they know it again.
Yeah, so for me, it's currently geography. YouTube videos. The next question's from Josh. He's one of our big listeners, Josh from Kimber. He says, Rowan's clearly going down the development route. We kind of touched on this earlier on the pod. Rowan's clearly going down the development route in terms of signings for next year. And of course, in Rowan we trust. We agree with that. But it got me thinking, how many of our project signings have been a success in the past? We kind of touched on that again with like Bo Falloon. Hardacre from Fev. Other than that, I can only think of Joe Vickery, Jack Ormonroyd, Corey Ashton, Callum McClelland, Andy Yates, and Reese's favourite, King Vunivayawa, who I don't think any of them you could say were successful. Would you be happy if we signed project signings or proven signings? For me, top-class prop who could lead alongside Oledsky is a must, but I can see Rowan sticking with unknowns. We did kind of touch on it earlier, Hinchy, but in terms of let's say the prop position, would you rather us go for an unknown or like a name in terms of a prop signing?
You'd like to go for it, but it's not easy getting Alex Walmsley, is it? You can't just go, oh, yeah, you're playing for us next year. I think we're kind of left in a position now where we have to kind of go a bit left field with it all. I don't think we can do what we've been doing like Galloway. I genuinely believe we could have played better with 11 than Galloway when he came. And
yeah,
some of the other tits signed. I'm happy to go a different way, see if that works. It's not been
try
working.
Something new. Yeah, I agree. What do you think, Tucker? Would you rather us sign like a big, bad Australian on loads of money, or can I give someone in a lower league a chance?
I don't know. I mean, if it were me, I'd probably go with projects in the lower leagues because it's providing someone an opportunity, to get ahead. And for me, I think someone would be more willing to work a bit harder as well, and they're putting all their effort because they're now being signed to a well-named club. If we got someone from say like Australia who's on all this money and comes over, he's already done all the effort, and sometimes it can get a bit egotistical as well. So strategically, it's probably best trying to find that diamond in the rough, because those that get the opportunity, biggest majority, in my opinion, will then try to work that much harder to be part of the club.
To kind of grab, it's like they've got the chance, or they've been given the chance. They take it with both hands. They're kind of like, right, this is my chance. I'm not letting this go. I'm gonna jump on it and take this attempt. It's a good point. Reese, you've answered this a few times, but do you wanna?
Yeah, I definitely didn't want to add what I've said earlier, really, but I think also we're driven by the salary cap and our quota as well. So obviously everything we're doing at the moment will fall into line with that as well. So I'm happy just to, again, trust Rowan. We'll make judgment next year.
Trust Rowan. Believe. Amanda asks, what podcasts do the Lot Pod podcasters listen to? Do you listen to podcasts, Hinchy?
Square Ball. I
Yeah.
don't like that. Weirdly enough, I don't listen to, like, if I'm in the car, if it's not music, it's just silence, really. I listen to yours. I'm not just saying that to ask you.
Thank you. You can come back on.
I listen to Square Ball, but I get... Chris Moyle ruined car journeys for me, so I just sit in silence a lot now. Sit to left, listen to Chris Moyle at 5, 6 in the morning, so I just kind of don't bother anymore. The dust has gone.
Tucker, what podcasts do you listen to?
Oh, there's only ever two that I listen to be honest. Naturally, the Lot Pod, and the one that I listen to like a lot, which is the Hospitality podcast as well. I'm a huge drum and bass fan, and I can't listen. I can't sit in silence and be left with my own thoughts. I can't deal with it. My own thoughts frighten me, so I need to be distracted by music or sound. So for me, the Hospitality D&B podcast or the Lot Pod.
Good answer. Correct answer. With you saying then that you listen to the Hospitality podcast, I thought you were listening to something like, this is the perfect way to serve sausage rolls at a party. A drum and bass podcast. Oh my God. Reese, what podcasts do you listen to?
I listen to loads. So I listen to the Lot Pod as well. So I always.
It loves the sound of his own voice.
Yeah, that's what it makes it sound like. But no, I always like listen back just to see if we've done something well or not well or whatever.
Yeah, this one's not gone well.
Square Ball is one I actually subscribe. I do the payment subscription for Square Ball because I love what they do. Phil Hay show for Leeds. There was a Football Manager show, so that was about the game. And then I listen to Off Menu with Ed Gamble, and also there's one called The Friendship Onion, which is if you watch Lord of the Rings, it's Merry and Pippin. I've forgotten the bloody names now. Dominic Monaghan and Billy Boyd, they do a podcast. And then I listen to quite a lot of American football ones as well. So there's the PFF and Locked on Jaguars. So I used to listen to loads of music all the time. Like Spotify would always, my minutes were ridiculous. Yeah. I don't think I barely listen to music that much really now. I'm just constantly on podcasts all the time.
Me too. I listen to loads, absolutely loads. I do quite a bit of driving with my job, and it's just podcasts. I listen to the Square Ball, obviously. I really like that, but sometimes they do. I don't know. They just talk a little. I think I've said this before on the pod, but they just sound a bit too miserable at times, and I just wish they'd like perk up a bit, and like be a bit more cheery. But who am I to tell them what to do? They do amazing work. I listen to a podcast called Football Cliches from The Athletic. I'm obsessed with like cliches, and they kind of talk about the language of football, and I love that because they kind of like it just resonates with me on a level like the stuff to talk about. I always pick up on when I'm listening to or watching football. That's good. They do some good quizzes as well. I listen to Hawksby and Jacobs Clips of the Week. I know that's more of a radio show, but on a Friday at that time, I usually miss it, so I always listen to that religiously. I listen to Bill Burr's Monday Morning podcast. He's an American comedian. He does a podcast on a Monday and a Thursday. It's literally just Bill. He's one of the funniest comedians around anyway, but it's like his take on like what he's done this week or the week's news. What else do I listen to? Frank Skinner. Again, I know that's a radio show, but I listen to him in podcast form as well. I've never listened to the Lot Pod. I've never listened back. I don't like the sound of my voice. I listened to maybe half an hour or so of the Barry McDermott one. But other than that, I've not listened to any Lot Pod at all. I just kind of edit it around it and then release it as I go. Tommy says, found your Rob Oates podcast really good. Rob came across as a good bloke. He definitely has the club's best interests at heart. That was a really good podcast, don't you think, Reece?
Yeah, it was really good, and obviously, but Rob didn't have to come on. He didn't. He answered all the questions, as a fan and as a commercial director for Leeds Rhinos. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. We lost you, Lottie. Yeah, we've lost him. He's not having much good luck. So I'll go back onto the questions that we've got on here as well. So Sam was asking, are there any ex-Leeds players that still play you would like to bring back to the club? Hinchy, anyone you would bring back that's currently still playing?
What out of cast?
Yeah, who out of cast?
I don't know. Ryan Hall, I loved, but I don't think we need him anymore. God, I can't even think. No, we don't need no one.
I mean, I think I'd have to say Ryan Hall as well. He made 164 metres, actually. Tucker, any ex-Leeds Rhinos player that's still playing that you'd like to bring back?
For me, it'd have to be Ryan Hall. I think I've been a big fan of his back in the A days, and like seeing how we performed as well against us, it was on form, and I think he was up there as well with Valetsky. I think it would be just a massive force, really.
Yeah, agreed.
What's the question? Sorry.
Any ex-Leeds players that are still playing that you would bring back to the club?
Can I answer this next week because he might actually play if OKR. So that's short on players. Oh, sorry, Danny McGuire. In terms of
£5
current,
this thing, I'm going to use it.
how much was it? Sorry,
£5 for a bloody
£5. Should have told me. I'd have mentioned him more. Danny Maguire. In terms of who's like legitimately playing now,
We've all said Ryan Hall so far.
yeah, I'm trying to think of a different answer, but there isn't one, is there?
No,
There's no one on that level or that good.
Who? Sorry, Hinch.
Mick Shane, maybe. You know, Dwyer.
No, I never rated him. Never particularly rated him. Although he's probably the best of the rest. Yeah, Ryan Hall. Yeah, I don't think you can choose anyone else.
Cool. And Sam's next question was, realistically, how long do you think we'll see Newman and Gannon at Leeds before they go to the NRL? It's okay.
Gannon, I think we'll have him for a good few years. To be fair, I think maybe because he's 18 now, isn't he?
He's 19, yeah. I think. He's
18, 19. I reckon I might look to move on. Maybe when he's 21, 22. I think he's going to try and stay with us for quite a while, to be fair. He's had a good game yesterday, and I think that boosted a lot of his confidence as well. He got player of the match, I think. You know, Leeds Rhinos always have like great potential as well each season, so I think he'll stick with us for quite a while.
I'm wrong. He's still 18. Somehow he's still 18.
Still 18, yeah. I think he's 19 in December.
Yeah. Hinch, how long do you think we'll keep them both for?
I don't think Gannon's going to leave. I actually don't think he will.
That's right.
But I think Newman, maybe one more season after this. I think his head's already thinking about going now. And his dad's dead. His dad can't stand him. Oh, he'd be NFL probably before he plays for us again. Yeah. But yeah, Newman, one more season, can retire with 6.
I think for me, if this is where marquee money should be going, it's players like these people. I think you're right about Newman. I'd love to have him to stay for his whole career. I think rugby union will come calling potentially before the NRL, maybe. Gannon, I think you're right. I think Gannon will be another 500 member of the 500 appearance club. I genuinely think he will do.
I think. Well, I don't know what kind of effect or how much Harry Newman listens to his dad. If his dad's got, I don't know, can not convince him as such, but kind of sway him to feel differently. Because the thing is with Harry, he was very honest when he did sign his new deal. He said, you know, there were NRL offers, and he had actually been to look at rugby union clubs. So that to me says he is looking already. I know he signed with us and obviously sees his immediate future with us. I think, what was it, 2-year deal or something, 3-year deal? Again, it's another. Obviously, we don't know the extent of his current injury, but it's another almost similar to Jack Walker in that we know how amazing he is, and he is amazing, Harry Newman, when he plays. You know, it's a hill. Again, I've said it before. It's a hill I'll die on. He is the best player in the league for me, easily, and he needs to start playing consistently. Because what has he played now? Is it 6-7 games before?
Well, he's only played 7 games this season. That was his 4th in a row. Was that game?
Yeah, so it's hopefully it's not like a long-term thing and he kind of just something he has to get out of his system and he does become not indestructible, but he can put seasons together where he's playing consistently. Because otherwise that's going to not only hanker his career with us, but his possible career. He could do anything, Harry Newman. If he's fit, he could do anything. And he'd get an offer anywhere as well. He would. He'd get an offer in Union, he'd get an offer in Sevens, NRL. He could literally do whatever he wanted when he's fit and playing. The world is his oyster and he'd get paid millions for it. And I do agree with Reese because in that rugby union would come first because he's obviously been honest and said he's looked at rugby union clubs prior to signing with us, so he's obviously flirting with that idea. It'd be similar to like Sam Burgess in that he'd get some kind of fast track into Reese knows more than me, but fast track into the England setup, and then once you're in England setup, if you succeed there, you know the platform for advertising, marketing, sponsors. You know, you just look at someone like Owen Farrell. You know, literally one of the biggest sporting names, certainly in this country, maybe in the world. You know, one of the most recognised faces. Harry could end up being like that, and I think if he went to Union and it didn't quite go as planned, he would still have an NRL offer. I suppose it would work both ways, but yeah, I think the world's his oyster. But in terms of how long he'd be with us, depends on his injuries. Morgan Gannon, same again. You know, he's 18, and I've said this before as well. The fact that with Morgan Gannon, you just accept that he's in the first team. It's not like Max Simpson getting a game or Jack Sinfield where you're like, oh, they're only young and I hope they come through it well and, you know, play well. When Morgan plays, it's just a first team already at 18. So what's it going to be like in 5 years' time? It's quite scary to think of, but I think Morgan will be here longer than Harry. That's what I'll say.
Next questions are from Duncan. Similar sort of questions to Sam, actually. If you could choose one player from a previous generation to fit into this current lead side, who would it be? Duncan does have a rule, though. It can't be anyone from the golden generation.
Oh.
Any ideas, Inchi?
I'd be a prop. Barry
I was thinking Brian Mack and a certain prop him, but he'd just get banned every game.
Oh yeah. Oh no, he'd probably have to protect his tan, wouldn't he? If we're playing these days.
Oh yeah.
That's true. Yeah, his tan and teeth.
Yeah, so we don't know. Do you? Might have changed. Probably just Barry Mack, a bit of aggression and
Barry Mack,
big unit.
Tucker, any ideas?
See, I'm not too familiar with old school players, and the one who I would choose, I'm pretty sure is part of the golden generation, but I'll let you decide. And it'd be Peacock.
Yeah, definitely number one golden generation. You can have him anyway.
I thought, because that's why I chose. Because I was thinking, because there was a couple of scraps that nearly took place yesterday, and I thought if Peacock were in there, there'd have been carnage. It'd have knocked out Hulk all on his own. He was mentally. It were great, but I don't know any other players outside that really.
Does Morley count? He left, didn't he, before we got bud?
Yeah, Morley counts.
Yeah, Morley counts. Yeah. See, I'm going to go for that man right there, Yeston Harris. I'd originally have gone thinking about Barry Mack, but he'd have more bands than Tetivano, Pryor, Bentley, all put together, I reckon. So yeah, I'm going to say yes. Where he'd fit in, I'm not quite sure, but Yeston Harris
could play anywhere.
Yeah. What about you, Lottie?
Well, unfortunately, I think you've all said the wrong answer. I think you're all wrong.
Go on.
Just saying. I'm just saying. The correct answer, gentlemen, is Ellery Hanley. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. No. Good one.
I would love to agree with you there, Lottie, but I have no idea who that is.
Yeah, what are you going to say that?
But you know what? I'll admit that I'll be wrong and I'll agree with you.
Even if it's the Ellery that we got, which I suppose is what Duncan's saying, you know, in his like latter years, he was still, even now, I think we were saying to Rob Oates, what we reached that. Looks like he could still play now. You see him on telly now. Yeah, Ellery Hanley, that's the correct answer, I think. Definitely. It'd be even better. I think in the modern game, Ellery would be, I don't know how, because it was amazing anyway. I think he'd be even better.
Fair enough. And Duncan's other question is, what's your favourite cut of steak? Tucker, do you want to go first on this one?
Oh, man. For me, because I can be quite pretentious, but I love Wagyu beef. And I had some I had some proper stuff in like Japan, and I tell you what, it's incredible. You know, expensive. Like, I think when I was in Osaka a good few years ago, I think it was about 10,000 yen, which I think it was about 70 quid at the time. And it was it was a small cube, and I didn't buy that, to be fair. I tried it another instance, and I just thought, I can't. It's an expensive taste I should not try and acquire. But Wagyu is my favourite.
What do you know about Wagyu beef? Can I ask you a question about it?
Yeah.
What's so special about? Is it Wagyu or Wagyu or what? Are we saying it wrong here?
Wagyu.
Wagyu. It is
Yeah.
Wagyu. I don't know. It just didn't sound right. That. What's so special about Wagyu beef?
Well,
Wagyu
it depends. There's different grades of it. I think the best grade is like class 5A, I think it is, and it's a special breed of a cow that the typical grow in Kobe, and they're fed whole foods and they're treated really nicely. I think there's a bit of a myth where like they get massages and listen to a bit of Bach and all that, all good, great classical pieces, but I don't think that's the case at all. But it has a high marble content. That's it. They're never in a bad mood, and yeah, they just got a high marble content which adds to the flavour. So when it's done like prepared properly, it's got a really nice soft texture, full of flavour, and it can melt in your mouth. So yeah, I think that's the main thing for it.
You weren't expecting that answer, were you, Duncan?
You probably wouldn't have been, no. Hinchy, favourite cut of steak?
I'm more of a burger and chips man. I get disappointed when a steak comes and it's tiny. Don't you get them? It's like a little square, and then there's like 5 yards away from it. More of a burger and chips man.
See, the best steak I've ever had was a steak on glaze, which is a hanger steak, I believe. So I'm going to have to say that because it was the best steak I've ever had. Lottie?
The best steak I've ever had was a massive T-bone in America. I can't remember the size of this thing, but it came on a plate on its own. In that, it came on a massive plate on its own, and then the chips and everything was like on another plate. It was just incredible. So yeah, what's a T-bone? I don't know whatever a T-bone is, mate.
It's a T-bone.
That's my bit.
It's a cut. That is a cut. The T-bone is a cut.
Is it? Oh, yeah. I thought it was like a certain part of the rump or something. Oh, I don't know.
No.
T-bone.
And the final questions are from Laurie on Lloyd's View. His question is, what is your current rugby league take that you think most people won't agree with you on?
Oh.
I'll let you go first this time, Lottie, on this one.
My current take, people might not agree with me on.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe relegate Castleford just immediately. Let's get rid of them. Awful. Probably. Oh, let me think. God, it's stumped me here. I don't know.
I'll go in the meantime, and I will say that I think the South Stand is a good stand.
You hear the silence there, everybody?
Yeah, I know we've spoken about it a lot. Tucker, whilst Eddie's thinking, have you got a take on rugby league that you don't think people agree with you?
I think so. It might be a very unpopular opinion. I don't know, but I think it might be Rowan's methods. To be fair, like with a whole lot of new development. I mean, that doesn't go for the rugby league as general, but for Rhinos, I just think I think if it's good to invest in some younger players, but I think if we're going to have quite a fair bit of turnover and stuff, coordination amongst the players isn't always going to be up to scratch. I just don't think we'll be able to play as amazing as we would do, and I think we shouldn't just try and develop too much too quickly.
More signings, more known signings rather than
not even that. Trying not to do too many signings. I mean, if people have to go, then that's fair enough, and they need to be replaced with some decent quality players. And I would probably go for unknowns more than the knowns, just because I feel like they would play better, as I've mentioned before. But I think the more we try and have a turnover of Rhinos of players, then I don't know. I just think you don't get that familiarity with all the other players and how they work and get that coordination. It can get a bit off track and
too much too soon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't change too much.
That's it.
Hinch, have you got a rugby league take that you think people won't agree with you?
Yeah, I think it's too professional.
I think the game.
Yeah, I think it's gone very corporate, clean. Do you know what I mean? Like, you watch games and you're like, foul. It has been banned for 3 games. All our pretty boys when they used to look like it with a spade. And do you know what I mean? I like that night. I was a bit young, but like the 90s, early 2000s, you know, when you watch shirts were baggy and people out for a beer afterwards. I know they like to drink now, but I just think it's a bit. I think we're trying to force this on a game that probably don't really want it.
Fair enough. Eddie, is that giving you enough time to think of one?
I don't think it has. I can't think of one.
Oh, you'll have to reply later.
I'm stumped, mate. Sorry, Duncan.
It's Laurie, but it's all right. And the
I'm
final...
so stumped. I thought it were bloody Duncan. Yeah.
And the final question for the mailbag from today is that...
From
Laurie, actually. If there was to be a Lot 17A drink meet in Leeds, or Headingley, I'm assuming, which bar would you suggest that we probably is best to go to? Any suggestions, guys, where we should do a meet up in terms of a pub?
Oh,
it's been a while since I've been up Headingley, so I can't.
Don't have to be Headingley.
Because the correct answer is obviously Old Trafford for the grand final.
If it was, I'll answer. If it was in Leeds in town, I'm not a fan of. Did Laurie ask what bar?
Yeah, what bar?
I'm not a fan of bars, me. I'm like an afternoon pub drinker. So it's closed now. But my favourite pub in Leeds in town was the Duncan. But that's no longer with us, unfortunately. So it'll probably be the Templar. I think that's the best pub currently in Leeds in town. Meet there and then work our way through the Angel, Packhorse, all down Briggate, all those between the little alleyways, dives. That to me is proper drinking. Going into a bar, but then that's because I am old. You know, it's like whenever I go to a game at Headingley now. Before the games, I feel fine in that. Although there's loads of young students living the life and at the absolute peak of the life and loving it, there is still rhinos around, so it's not too bad. After a game, going into Skyrock or Oak or Headingley Taps, and it's like there's music on and all the young kids are having a great time. I just feel I stand out like a thumb. And I'm like, nah, this bar scene, I'm not about this. You know, I'm a dad of 3. You know, I'm bald, I'm old, I don't drink. You know, it's not me anymore. And I feel like they're looking at me, all these young kids, and they're right to do so, to be fair. They're looking over saying, what is that bald twat doing in here? Should someone get rid of your dad? You know, someone take him outside and take him home. So a bar for me, no, I'm not about that life anymore. So it would be a proper scruffy pub for me.
I think I'd probably dare say Dry Dock as well, because that used to be quite good. That I've been there in recent times, but you know, it's quite good, the Dry Dock actually.
Unique. For anyone that doesn't know the Dry Dock pub in Leeds, it's a boat, it's a barge, it's an offshore barge that's been dumped on a hill and turned into a pub.
So, if we were going to do one in Headingley, it'd probably either be Tap, so it'd be what's one of the massive beer garden called again?
Original Oak.
Thank you, Original Oak. That was all the questions that I had from the mailbag. Have you got any more left before you?
I do have some to wrap things up. Headingley Taps is best if you park in there.
Yeah, it's a cheap park.
Isn't it? Yeah, you can park up and then just as a... I know we kind of finished, but I'm like, it's really cheap to park there. And there always seems to be space.
Guys.
Ollie says, what have you made of the start of Leeds United's season? Reese? What have you made of United's start?
Yesterday was a bit annoying, really, wasn't it? Just threw away a 2-0 lead. If you'd asked me if you'd happy with 4 points from 6 from the start of the season, I'd been happy. So that's better than last year. So I'm going to say C+. C+. We'll give it a little bit of a grade. C+ so far.
Hincher, I think you're a United fan.
Up until the 70th minute yesterday, it'd be I'm really happy. I just don't get this football. I know Bielsa's were flawed, but we seem to only give the ball away to win it back, which I just think keep it then. I just think I think it's just mental, but we haven't lost yet. So, the only thing where about that I'm being too sour and pessimistic. I'm the most pessimistic Leeds fan I'll ever meet. I'm never happy.
I think I might give you a run for your money there. Tucker, how do you see Leeds United doing this year?
Well, I always put a bet on them to win the Premier League. Because
so that's why we're so rubbish.
Yeah, pretty much. I can't win bets to save my life, you know.
Stop betting on us.
I know, I'm going to have to stop doing that. But I mean, to be truthful, I'm not a massive football fan unless it comes to like the World Cup or Euros, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't really follow it that well. But I understand we did beat Southampton. What was it, 1-0 yesterday?
No, we drew 2-2. We beat Wolves 2-1 on the first game. We drew 2-2 yesterday.
Oh, I thought we won 1-0. I must have just checked during the match then. So that's how much I follow football. I don't have a clue. So on rare occasions, I can wing a conversation that I look like I know what I'm on about. So I'll probably just end it there.
Tonight.
So yeah.
For me, anyone that's listened to this knows I don't buy into Jesse Marsh at all. That game yesterday, to me, just summed up Jesse Marsh in a nutshell. Winning 2-0 at Southampton, they looked awful. They looked absolutely awful. But what disappointed me most about that result is you could see that coming a mile off.
Yeah, that 10 minutes.
Even at 2-0, watching that game, I don't know. I don't know if there'll be a United fan listening to this now who thought we were going to go on to win that game. If they were being really honest with us then, I don't think they could genuinely say we'll win this like 2-0, 3-0, 4-0. Game management, there isn't any. There's none. But against Wolves, Jesse Marsh made substitutions that changed the game, and got us the win. And yesterday, he should have made substitutions and managed the game. Especially now we've got 5 subs. He should have made subs to change the game so that we won that game. We were crying out for substitutes and he didn't do it. If Jesse Marsh is a success at Leeds, I'll be astounded. I'll be absolutely astounded. This is just the fall guy. It's the fall guy. And my granddad once said to me that, because I were chuffed when we got Terry Venables as manager. I was thinking, ex-England manager, done this, done that. And my granddad said to me, you've got to think, right, where the manager will go after United, if that makes sense. So are they in a way using United as a stepping stone for better things in terms of the too good for us? And ever since he said that, that's how I've always kind of pictured management. And Jesse Marsh, again, United is the biggest club by a million miles that this guy will ever manage. He's not going to. If he does well for us, I'll take that custard pie. I'll eat that humble pie. But I just don't see it working out at all. That's my thoughts. You asked for them. Me and
I'm
Inchy.
inclined to agree with you there, Eddie.
Yeah. The last question. Thanks for coming on, Inchy. Thanks for coming on, Phil. Thanks for coming on, Tucker. Thanks, Reese, for essentially anchoring this rudderless ship on this podcast today. It's a Leeds United question. Why do you call Leeds United United? Whenever I listen to the Lot Pod, I always think you mean scum, but it doesn't say that. It says another word for it. To me, I think that the United is your United, mainly because scum seem to think they own it, and they don't. They do not fucking own it. It drives me mad. And I've worked in Sheffield before, and places where there's been 2 teams. So whenever you work in Sheffield, or if anyone knows or lives in Sheffield, it's Wednesday and United. So whenever someone's in Sheffield and they say United, you kind of know that they aren't talking about scum. They're talking about Sheffield United. And to me, I think that reflects in Leeds, because you'll kind of, like many a time, the Rhinos will play on a Friday and United will play on the weekend. So whenever you go to work on a Monday, if you work in Leeds, you'll say, "Did you watch the Leeds game?" And 9 out of 10 times, someone will say to you, "Which one?" So I kind of cut that out to say, right, did you watch the Rhinos? Did you watch United? And people say, "Oh yeah." That's why I say, do any of you three refer to Leeds as United?
No.
Leeds for me.
I think I kind of do what you'd kind of do, really, Eddie. I do say United in context that, because if I said I'm off to the Leeds, I think if I said I'm off to Leeds, I think people would assume the football. When I've got a season ticket for the Rhinos, not for Leeds United. So, I'm probably a bit more like you, actually.
Tucker, do you call Leeds United?
No, I just call them Leeds. I always refer to Rhinos as Rhinos. So if anyone knows I'm off to, if I end up going to a game, then I'll say I'm off to go see Rhinos, or I'll go see Leeds, which is probably going to be never.
Yeah, that makes sense. But to me, it's like I want it. It really pisses me off that that scum just think it's theirs. You know what I mean? So I kind of say it in a way that, you know, if I'm talking to people have said it to me before, where I've said like, "Oh yeah, United lost 2-0," and they've gone, "They didn't. They won 2-1." I'll be like, "I'm not fucking talking about them. I'll never ever talk about them. I'm talking about, you know, my United rather than them." So it's more to try and irk. Who asked the question? Sorry, Paul. It's more to try and irk scum fans, really, because they just think they fucking own it and they don't. Hinchy, do you just call them Leeds or United or?
I just call them Leeds, and it's Rhinos if I'm not to watch rugby. In terms of Man United, they can have United if they want. It'll look good. They sound good at Championship.
That was amazing yesterday, by the way. People listening to this, as I said earlier, they got battered by Brentford 4-0. It was almost the perfect weekend. 2 weekends in a row, because last weekend, Scum lost, United won, and the Rhinos won. And then this weekend, United drew, Rhinos won, Scum lost. It was almost the perfect weekend again. That's the end of the Lot Pod for this week. That's the Hull KR Match Review panel. Thank you, everybody, for listening on Spotify, YouTube, iTunes, wherever you listen to this. Reese, Hinchy, Phil, Tucker, thanks a lot for your hard work.
Thank you.
Take care, everybody. See you soon. The next time we'll be on is... Oh, Reese, we need to announce we've got a special guest this week.
We do. We have... I can't remember when we agreed it now. 18th, I think it was.
18th, yes.
Wednesday. So we've got Ryan Golding coming on, the head groundsman at these Rhinos. He's been at the club for 19 years, worked his way up from apprentice. So we're going to be speaking to him about his career, his role, how it works at Headingley, and also the training grounds as well. So that's going to be our special on Wednesday.
That'll be Wednesday live on YouTube, and it'll be available on Spotify and iTunes, etc. Another good, interesting guest, I feel. And we'll also open a mailbag as well, so you guys listening to this and on Twitter can interact with it as well. Right, that's the Lot Pod for this week. So we'll be back for Ryan Golding special on Wednesday. Take care, everybody. See you soon. Thanks a lot.
See you later.
Cheers all. Bye.